Prepare to beat your chest and roar. It's time for King Kong. The first time King Kong appeared on screen was in 1933 when the original King Kong movie was released. This film introduced King Kong to the world as a groundbreaking special effects achievement through stop-motion animation, which had simply never been done to this standard before. It's a classic story. Filmmaker Carl Denham leads an expedition to Skull Island where they encounter Kong, a giant gorilla worshipped by the natives. Kong is captured and brought to New York City, where he breaks free and goes on a rampage before being killed atop the Empire State Building. That was followed later that same year by The Son of Kong, which saw Kong's young offspring feature in a more friendly capacity, smaller and less fearsome than his father, the Great Kong himself. Carl Denham returns to Skull Island and discovers Kong's son, a much smaller and gentler creature. They face various challenges together before the young Kong sacrifices himself to save Denham. Kong then played the hero in King Kong vs. Godzilla in 1962, battling Godzilla in a clash of titans. In this one, stop motion was out and a man in a gorilla suit was in, making this one a bit more comical and less iconically Kong. To save the country, Kong is brought to Japan to fight Godzilla, with the two monsters engaging in some epic battles. In 1967, we got King Kong Escapes. This movie introduces Mechani-Kong, a robotic version of King Kong, along with a more cartoonish portrayal of Kong himself. Kong battles against Mechani-Kong, a creation of the villainous Doctor Who, while also becoming involved in a conflict with a giant dinosaur. Given the success of his previous fight with Godzilla, this comes as no surprise. In 1976, the origins of the great ape were revisited with the second movie titled King Kong. This movie presents Kong as a colossal ape living on Skull Island, with a focus on modernized special effects, which allowed for a retelling of the original tale more believably and realistically. This time, it's an oil expedition which discovers Kong on Skull Island, capturing him and bringing him to New York City to be displayed, where he escapes and goes on a rampage before meeting his tragic end atop the World Trade Center. King Kong lives in 1986. Scientists revive Kong by replacing his failing heart with a mechanical one, and discover a female ape, Lady Kong, for him to mate with, leading to a dramatic escape as Kong seeks out his mate and is pursued by the military as they race to stop his path of destruction. After a long absence from our screens, the original storyline was revisited for a third time by Peter Jackson, the guy who made The Lord of the Rings in 2005 with King Kong. The further developments with special effects allowed the studio to finally make a CGI ape that looks as if it could be real, with a more detailed and emotional portrayal of Kong through motion capture technology. The man behind King Kong was the incredible Andy Serkis, and it shows. The rest of the cast was stellar too, which included Jack Black. Just like the original, filmmaker Carl Denham leads an expedition to Skull Island, where they encounter Kong and capture him, leading to a tragic love story between Kong and Ann Darrow before his dramatic demise in New York City. Although it doesn't tell a new story, this movie set the bar for how modern effects could move King Kong forward. The modern era of King Kong continued in 2017, as he became the center for a new Monsterverse along with Godzilla. Kong Skull Island took what King Kong did in 2005 and dialed it up to 11. The design was incredible, aiming for a blend of modern and classic techniques. The team used keyframe animation for scale and motion capture for facial expressions, aiming to add depth to Kong's character. The team envisioned Kong as a solitary and melancholic figure, drawing inspiration from the original 1933 incarnation. In 1944, American pilot Hank Marlowe and Japanese pilot Gunpei Ikari find themselves on a South Pacific island during World War II, where they encounter Kong, a massive ape, interrupting their combat. In 1973, Monarch's Bill Randa led an expedition to Skull Island, joined by a military unit and civilians. They face Kong and other dangerous creatures, discovering Kong's role as protector against deadly skull crawlers. Conflict arises within the group when Packard seeks revenge on Kong. Despite warnings, Packard tries to kill Kong, but a giant skull crawler emerges as the real threat. Kong and the survivors unite to defeat the skull crawler. In the end, Kong watches as the survivors leave the island. In 2018, Ready Player One was a standout movie. It had everything in the blend of video game culture, pop culture, groundbreaking effects, and great acting set it apart from everything else. Of course, King Kong, being such a huge pop culture icon, had to make it into the Oasis, and he did with a bang. Being shown atop a skyscraper, because where else would he be? Before rampaging, what else would he do? As the Monsterverse evolved, it was inevitable for Kong and Godzilla to intersect, which occurred in the 2021 release of Godzilla vs. Kong. 5 years after King Ghidorah's defeat by Godzilla and other titans awakening worldwide, Monarch monitored Kong within a dome on Skull Island. Gia, a young deaf girl, communicates with Kong through sign language. Meanwhile, Apex Cybernetics employee Bernie discovers suspicious activity at Apex's Pensacola facility after Godzilla's attack. Apex CEO Walter Simmons recruits Hollow Earth theorist Nathan Lind to guide an expedition. Lind, along with Kong, Andrews, and an Apex team, journey to Antarctica to access the Hollow Earth. Godzilla attacks, defeating Kong, but they proceed to the Hollow Earth where they find an ancient axe. In Hong Kong, Mechagodzilla, controlled by Ghidorah's consciousness, overwhelms Godzilla until Kong intervenes, ultimately destroying Mechagodzilla. Monarch establishes an observation post in the Hollow Earth where Kong now resides. Being part of Warner Bros. IP meant that they wasted no time in using Kong and Space Jam: A New Legacy in 2021. There are a few short Easter egg scenes, including King Kong, and Don Cheadle's character says,
"King Kong ain't got nothing on me,"
which is a play on Denzel Washington's famous line from Training Day.
"King Kong ain't got shit on me!"
The anticipated sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong will soon be here. In this latest installment, following the explosive clash between Godzilla and Kong, it looks like Kong will be dragged back out of the Hollow Earth once more. This time, Kong and Godzilla will have to set aside their differences to face a colossal, previously unknown threat lurking within our world that looks like another giant ape. This new threat poses a challenge to their existence and our own. The film explores these titans' deeper origins and histories, delving into the mysteries of Skull Island and beyond. Additionally, it uncovers the mythic battle that shapes these extraordinary beings and forever link them to humanity. I don't know about you, but I can't wait.